Hi modern fashion designers, you're welcome back to class. This is Modern Woman Apparel. I want to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers, my viewers, all those who have liked, shared and commented on my videos. Thank you all so much. Meanwhile, if this is your first time here, you're highly welcome. Please join us by hitting on the subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell so as to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. So guys, in this class you're going to be learning so many things. Yes, number one is you're going to be learning how to perfectly draft an Armhole Princess dart bustier. Number two, you're going to learn how to identify a client that is less busty and a client that is busty. This means that you'll be able to identify when a person has big breast and or when the person has small breast. And number three, you're going to learn how to take the right under bust and armhole darts based on the breast size of your client. So we are not working based on the bust circumference of the client, because you agree with me that a person may have a big bust circumference and end up using a small cup. For example, you may see a client with bust circumference of 44 and you notice that this person is using a bra cup of 36 or even 34. So in this case, if you tighten the under bust and armhole based on the bust circumference of this client, you end up giving the person an extra large cup, because that is not actually the cup size of this client. So in this class, you're going to be learning how to do the right under bust and armhole darts based on your client's cup size. And that's not all, because you're also learning how to transfer your patterns to fabric, how to accurately pad and sew your princess dart bustier. So sit right back, let's get right into the tutorial of the day. So for this class, these are the body measurements we'll be working with. So the first thing we are going to be doing is to draft at the front. After that, we'll do the back, and I'm going to be imputing the length vertically downwards. So all the necessary length that we need for this class. So what I have here is the shoulder line here, which will also serve as the starting line, and I'm using this part here, the edge of this, as the center front. So from here to here, this is 11 inches for the bust point, this is 14.5 for the under bust, and this is 17 inches for the waist length. After this, the next thing I'm going to get is the basic neckline. I'm working with bust of 37. I'll divide it by 12 and I'll have 3 inches. So I'll put 3 inches for the neck width and 3 inches for the neck depth. So whatever is your bust circumference, divide it by 12 to get your basic neckline. And after that, you draw your neckline. After this neckline, I'll get the shoulder width divided by 2. I'm working with shoulder 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and from this 7.5 mark here, I'll come down by 8.7 inches for the armhole depth. I got this by dividing the bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5 plus an additional 1, and that additional 1 is for shoulder slope. So because I'm taking my measurement from here, I have to add additional 1 inch to the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. You know, normally the armhole depth is bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, but because I'm taking the measurement from here, not from the shoulder slope, I'm taking it from the shoulder itself, so I'm adding additional 1 to it. So don't get confused, it's still the same bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So this is it. Now for the front shoulder slope, I'll come down by 1.5 and I'll connect back to the neckline. After this, I'll come to this point here and make sure I have the same measurement I have here. So what I have there is 7.5. I'll come here and make sure I also have 7.5. So this is my 7.5, and I'll connect from this point back to the shoulder slope. After this, I'll rule my chest line. Next thing I'm going to do is to come up from this chest line here by 3 inches. So I'm going up by 3 inches, and on the mark of 3 inches, I'll go in by ½ inch. And before I connect the armhole curve, I'll come here on this chest line here. I will impute my bust circumference divided by 4. The bust circumference I'm working with is 37 divided by 4 is 9.25, and I'll add ½ inch for ease. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect my armhole curve, touching this point, and this point. After getting the armhole curve, the next for us to do now is to make our dart. So I'm working with nipple to nipple of 7 inches. I'll divide it by 2 and I'll have 3.5. So this 3.5 here, I'll mark 3.5 here all the way down to the waist length. So 3.5. Now connect the points. So on this part here, before I connect it to this, you can decide wherever you want to put it. So you can decide to put it in the middle. So you can decide to measure what you have here and put it in the middle here, or any of the point here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not putting mine in the middle. I'm going to come down from this shoulder slope here by 3 inches. And from this point of 3 inches, I'm going to connect down to the bust point. So you can use the slightly curved part of your curve rule, or you can also use a straight line. Both of them works perfectly. So after getting this, next thing I'm going to do is to come down here by 1.5. This 1.5 depends on the bust size or the cup size of the person you're working with. So I'm going to be explaining that later. So I'm coming down here by 1.5, and also with this slightly curved part of my rule, I'm going to connect back to the bust point. After this, the next thing now is for us to get the underbust. So guys, this is where I would like you to pay attention. Before, I normally tell you how to take the underbust tightening dart based on your client's bust circumference, but in today's class I'm going to be showing you how to take the dart based on the cup size of your client. Now remember, a person may have a bust circumference of 40 and end up using a bra cup of 34. Now you can see that the cup size does not correspond with the bust circumference. So if you take the dart based on this person's bust circumference, you end up giving her a bigger cup than her actual cup size. So we are going to take our dart based on the cup size, not the circumference. So to know if your client is less busty or busty, we have to look at the difference between their bust circumference and their under bust circumference. This will now tell us how big or how small their cup size is. So the bust circumference I'm working with is 37 and the under bust is 32. So you can see the difference there is 5 inches. So for this 5 inches, I'm going to be using the total dart width of 2.25. So now how I decide to share this 2.25 totally depends on what I want. I can decide to put half on this part here and put the rest on this other part. I can also decide to share this equally. Do you understand? I can also decide to impute 1 here and 1.25 here. It totally depends on what I want. So when the difference between the bust circumference and under bust circumference is 3 or 4 inches, know that this person is less busty. So here you use 2 inches. So when the difference is 5, you use 2.25. And when the difference is 6, you use 2.5. Now when the difference is 7 and 8, this person is very busty, you use 3 inches, total of 3 inches. And when the person is 9 and above, you use 3.5 inches. So how you decide to share it here totally depends on what you want, but or make sure you're putting less here and more on this part. So on this part here, if the difference is from 5 inches and below, you take 1.5. So 6 inches, you do 1.75. From 7, 8 and above, you come down here by 2 inches. I hope you understand. So what I'm going to do now, since the dart intake I'm doing here is 2.25, I'm going to impute 1 inch on this part here and 1.25 on this part. I'm also going to take the same thing on this waist length here. I'll connect with a straight line. After this, now I will get my curve. So you can see the way I place my curve here. Please don't let this curve get here. The essence of this is to eliminate every sharp point. So I'm going to place it here, and also the important thing there is for you to grab this point here and also touch this dart line I have here. So after this, I'll also get this other part here. So guys, after getting this, the next thing I'm going to do now is to redraw back the armhole. Because we have taken out 1.5 inches from here, we need to extend this, because by the time, if we don't extend it, by the time we are joining these two together here, you will notice that this one will be way shorter than this. So we are going to extend this line by that same 1.5 inches. So if you take 2 inches, you replace it. And you can see I didn't place my hand this way, so I took it straight up to where, to make sure that it's following same line with this dark line I have here. So I'm going to extend from here now upwards to by 1.5 inches, and from there I'll connect back. After extending this, what we have just done is to blend these two up. We have not replaced back the 1.5 inches we removed from this armhole, so we are going to replace it by coming to this chest line here, and we are going to impute the 1.5 inches. After replacing the 1.5 inches, to make sure that our armhole circumference does not shorten, what we are going to do is to redraw our armhole curve.
And if you're wondering if it's going to make your bust circumference wider, then you have nothing to worry about, because it's not going to affect your bust circumference negatively in any way.
Remember, we are no longer making use of this initial armhole now. This is the new armhole we'll be working with. So after this, the next thing I'm going to do is to get the underbust circumference. I'm working with underbust circumference of 32 divided by 4 is 8, plus this 2.5 inches. So that you are going to replace it as will shorten the underbust circumference. On the waist, I'm also working with waist circumference of 32. I divide it by 4. I'll have 8, and also replace the 2.25 inches for my darts. After this, what I'll do now is to connect. After this, the next thing I'm going to do is to impute the bust dart. So the bust dart is the difference between the front waist length and the back waist length. So the difference I'm having here is 2. Front is 17, back is 15. So I'll start from this bust line here and come down here by 2 inches, and I'll connect it back to this point.
So guys, we are done with the front part. The next thing we are going to do is to close up our bust dart and also cut out our pattern before going to the back part. So guys, before I cut this out, I want you to note that this is just a basic neckline for this bust size. Now you can decide to use any neck width or any neck depth of your choice, and also do any style line of your choice. You can use it round neck, v-neck, it all depends on what you want.
So what I'm going to do now is to close up this bust dart by opening this waist dart.
So looking at it from this angle, this is what we have. So make sure you study every curve and blend every curve well. So after you are done slashing the waistline, fold or slash through the bust dart and place it on the bust point line as shown. Then you use your tape to hold it down.
So now what we are going to do is to blend here up. So if you notice that this place is sharp, just blend it up. And here you can see that the lines has moved. So what I'm going to do is also to connect it back. And the next thing to do is for us to cut this out.
Please note that no seam allowance has been added to this pattern. By the time we are transferring this pattern to fabric, we'll add all our necessary seam allowances.
The next thing we are going to do now is to draft out the back part. So guys, this is for the back part here, and this here is the shoulder line, which will also serve as my starting line. This is the center back. So this is not the zipper allowance, because we'll be getting the zipper allowance much more later. Now for the front, I did 3 by 3 for the neckline, and for the back I'm doing 3 by 1. So this is also the shoulder width divided by 2, which I have at 7.5. For the front shoulder slope, we did 1.5. For the back, we are doing 1 inch. So if I'm measuring from here to here, this is the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. But I added that additional 1 inch for shoulder slope because I like taking my measurement from here and not from here. I hope you understand. But what I also have here is the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So this is the chest line here. This is the chest line. You can see I rule it all the way to the center back, and this is the waist length. This is the waist length. Now for this back part, these are all the length you need for this back part, but you can also decide that you want to impute the underbust circumference here. So to get the underbust line, what you have to do is to remove the difference between your front waistline and your back waist length. So the difference between the front waist length and back waist length I'm working with is 2 inches. So to get my underbust line, what I'm going to do is to go away first by 2 inches. So by the time I go out by 2 inches, I will get my underbust. Then I will impute that 14.5. So this is the 14.5 here. And you rule your line. Remember, it's totally okay on this back part if you decide not to impute your underbust line. Another way to get it is by measuring the distance between your waist length and underbust length. So I have 2.5 here, so you can see 2.5. So if you decide not to do these minus whatever, so what you are going to do is from your waist length here, go up by the distance between your waist length and your underbust length. So what you have there is your underbust line. So this is the underbust line here. So first of all, before we start imputing all other measurements, the first thing we are going to do is to tighten the back. Now, the back tightening is determined by how deep your client's back is. So you can do between 0.5 to 1 inch. It depends on how deep your client's back is. So look at your client's back to know whether you are using half inch, 0.75 or 1 inch. But for this, I'm using 1 inch because this person's back is very deep. So the next thing after that, you can decide to connect this line here to your neckline, or you measure here from here to here, mark the midpoint, that is your cross back line, and from there you rule the line. But for me, I'm going to take it this way. So after this, the next thing I'm going to do is to get my armhole curve. So for the front, we went off from this chest line here by 3 inches, but for the back, we're going to divide what we have here and make a mark on the midpoint. So this is the midpoint, and from this midpoint, I'll go in by half inch. On this chest line here, because we have gotten this line here, this back tightening line, we are no longer making use of this. So this is our new center back. So what I'm going to do is to start from this new center back here. I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4. So I'm working with bust 37 divided by 4 is 9.25, and I also add half inch for ease on this chest line only. So what I'm going to do now is to connect. After this, the next thing is to impute the waist dart. So I'm working with nipple to nipple of 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5. From here, I'll measure what I have from this initial center back to this point here. So I'll have 4.5 there. This 4.5, I'll come here, starting from this initial center back here. I'll measure. The aim is for us to have a straight line. So I'll do my dart line. And I'm doing 0.75 on both sides. So this is 0.75, this is 0.75, and I'll connect back to the chest line. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do now is to start imputing my round circumference. So for the underbust here, I'm using 32 inches divided by 4 is 8. So this is 8 inches here. I'm taking from this new center back, and I'll measure what I have here. This is 1 inch. I'll replace it here. On this part here, this waistline here, I have 32 inches also, and divided by 4 is 8, and the 1.5 inches that width here, I'll replace it. So after getting this, so this is what I have here. Next thing for us to do is to get the zipper allowance. So from here, I'm doing a zipper allowance of 1.5. By the time I use half inch to turn with the lining, I'll be left with 1 inch. So this is my 1.5 from that neckline down to the waist length. Now connect. So guys, at this point now, you can decide that you want this back part to also be a princess dart. All you need to do is to connect your line like so. So you connect your line like this. But for me, I'm not using a princess dart for this back, so I'm going to leave it like this. So what I'm going to do now is to add all my necessary seam allowances on this. So guys, as you can see, I've gone ahead to add all my necessary seam allowance. This is ½ inch to join this part to the skirt part. This is 2.5 inches. So on this part here, you can decide whatever seam allowance you normally work with. And this is ½ inch on the armhole for the sleeve joining. This is on the shoulder, ½ inch for the shoulder joining, and this is ½ inch to turn the neckline with the lining. So what I'm going to do now is just to cut this back part out. So guys, if you still want to have a princess dart at the back side, all you need to do is to cut slash here to here and also eliminate this. Slash this out, take this out, and slash here open. So this is what we have for the front here. You can see how beautiful it is, and this is also what we have for the back. Now you can see by the time I place them together, I'm starting from here and here. You already know that these are for the seam allowance, so I'm starting from here, and we haven't added any seam allowance to this part, so I'm starting from here. You can see that because we have eliminated this bust dart, the front and back can now meet up by the side. So you can see what I have here.
So guys, as you already know, this is a half scale pattern, which means you can use this for a blouse and you can also use it for a gown. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the part 2 of this class where we did the sewing of this. So in the part 2, we transferred the patterns to fabric with all the necessary seam allowance. We also get to learn how to properly pad and sew our princess dart bustier. The link to the tutorial is on the comment section. You will also find links to the various sewing tutorials that I have done with this pattern right on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you're yet to subscribe, please take a second to hit on the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Please also follow me on my Facebook page at Modern Woman Sewing Tutorials. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.